to another episode of Sawdust Nation Podcast, episode 122, with your host, Naps 90 Works LLC.
Hey.
We got Nick from MPG Creations.
Yo.
And myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. Let's start off with Nap. Nap, what do you have going on in your shop?
Why do you come right to me all the time? Oh my God.
Okay, Nick, what do you got going on in your shop? Talk at the same time.
I'm just giving you stuff. All right, so I ain't gonna lie. I just got off work like not even 20 minutes ago. I ran out into the garage and threw some things on the laser, which in about 3 or 4 minutes. So after I'm done doing my shop stuff, I got to run back out there, throw another thing on there. It's repeatability, if you will. I ended up making a jig, like a little square jig in my laser out of a piece of plywood and 2 pieces of scrap wood because it's a repeatable laser job to where I just put the piece on, push start. But I got tired of lining that some B up. So I just threw that sucker in there, hit start, ran back in here, and I'm about to run back out there, do it again. Now, I've done this in the past, but I hadn't done it until now because I was like, okay, I'm tired of lining this stuff up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this real quick. So that's going right now. It's actually the Heritage Board's job that I'm still trying to finish. I know everyone's probably tired of hearing of it, but I'm really just getting the stuff lasered on the back of it. And by stuff on the back, it's the hanger holes. Going forward, I'm going to make sure I CNC those in. Not that it's a bad thing that I'm doing it this way. It's just taking a little more time than it needs to. So those will be done hopefully by the end of this week. Unfortunately, real work takes over. So sleep and doing things, we'll just say it comes first before getting the shop stuff done. On that, so Operation Air Force Ball Glasses is done. They finally gave me the final number, and I was able to finish the 450th one this weekend. So 450 repetitious stemless wine glasses in a matter of a couple weeks with the help of my wife, which is pretty awesome. I got to say, though, as far as repetitive jobs are concerned on the rotary, that Rotoboss rotary, I tell you what, I bought that thing when I was in San Antonio, and I got to say the price tag, it may look like it's going to hurt your pocket, but the fact that I was able to repeat the process without having any questions on whether or not it was going to mess up or not, well, you could just throw those thoughts out the window. The repeatability using that rotary is just outstanding. So if you use a roller style rotary, I would definitely take a look at Rotoboss. And I think it's at Rotoboss Rotaries on Instagram if you want to take a quick peek at them. Mm-hmm. So there's that. I did finish this golf board. It's like a little golf ball display board. I didn't have to paint it, stain or anything. I just had to make the board, laser etch the disgusting Ohio State Buckeye symbol on it, and set it on its way. Customer did paint it and stained it and painted it, sent it to me, and it looks good despite the fact it's that really nasty college logo on it. I did a couple things different than I'd done in the past to make it to where all the T's, because he's got the kind of, not like the typical like skinny tee with the, let's say what, 1/4 inch like little top end for that you set the ball on. It's the thicker tee. It's like the 1/2 inch diameter with like the small portion that you shove in the grass. Trying not to make this sound anything crazy for Nick to turn it around. So, but I ended up putting like little standoffs in the middle of the laser job to where all of those tees will sit flush. So all of the golf balls they'll line up and it won't be a pain in the rear to mount anything on there. Set that out. I can't remember if I talked about the mugs or not, but I did finish 2 mugs and 2 sets of coasters, set those out. I did finish a job for my dad. It was 4 decanters. My payment. So check this out. So we talk about this in the podcast sometimes about like having family pay for things. Like, do they pay full price? Do they pay material? How do they pay? Well, so how my dad paid me was he said, "Hey, I need you to laser edge 4 decanters for me." I was like, "Okay, I can do that." He's like, "But I'm also going to send you 12 more with it, so you have those for your inventory." I was like, "Okay." So he paid me with extra material for later down the road. So if I do any custom decanter engravings, I already have all decanters sitting in my house. So I got those. I got 2 jobs that I'm working on. A new concept for me because I don't work with acrylic very often. But I did get some gray acrylic from makerstock.com. And I'm using that to make a different type of job. Taking somewhat of a page out of Nick's book, but adding a twist to it. So I'm replicating it's a bomb rack. And for those who don't know, it's something that the bombs go on, they can drop them and, they go boom. Well,
Boom, boom,
there's a
boom.
side plate on them. There's a side plate. There are two side plates that sandwich all the components together. Well, I replicated one side of the bomb rack, or one side plate, and I did some laser engravings on it, painted the engravings black, and then I took a piece of 1/2 inch free 99 plywood that I got, and I made a standoff. So I did like an offset 1 inch, and I did a standoff for it to where I can put an LED stripping on there, and with the battery pack and all that, and you hit the switch and it lights it up and everything with a remote. And how I'm going to mount that is to a piece of 13/16 oak, and I'm going to actually CNC out the pocket like all the way through to where that stuff will just glue to the back of the standoff, but inside that piece of wood, so you can still hang it flat on the wall and have like a cool like wall piece that you can turn on and off. It's battery powered, so no plug involved. Got two of those I'm making. One's a smaller one, one's an actual size replica. So those are in the works right now. And then let's see, working odd hours right now. So like right now I'm working 11 o'clock to 7:30, maybe 8, depending. Today was more like 7:15 because I wanted to get back in time to get on the podcast. And so here I am. I am still halfway in uniform, in fact, because I was literally running between the shop and this just to get here. What else? Anything else going on? I got the a trophy for I got to make. It's not due till like January, so I'm not really too worried about like that one at this moment. But I am getting a bunch of free walnut, free cherry, and free oak to make this particular thing. It's to commemorate the yearly loading competition for each year they do it. So for those that aren't familiar, so yes, we load for a job, but we also try to see who the fastest loaders are, obviously as safe as possible, this, that, and the other. Safe and as proficient as possible, which you wouldn't believe that how fast people can actually load and still do it by the book. So they do that every quarter, and then they take the quarterly winners and they do a yearly load. And each year they compete against each other, and they get this big old trophy that they get to display as they, for their winning, I guess, as their winnings. They don't get to keep it at their place of work because, well, people like to mess with things and break things. So it actually stays at the weapon standardization hangar, and it just has a plaque with their names on it with the year that they won. So I'm remaking that because the one that they have is relatively small, and we'll just say it needs some work. So I'm remaking one. So doing that. Still got 2 shadow boxes coming up here in the future. I'm still waiting on the sketch for the improvement so I can start getting that thing together for the one that's down where Nick works. And then I'm waiting for the individual to send me the pieces for the Hap Arnold one still. I was actually going to reach out to them here this evening and say, hey, when are you going to send me the stuff? Because I kind of need to get cracking on your job. I have a lot of lumber to burn through and to pay for that I bought. So, and on that, I got 45 more board feet of cherry in and 25 more board feet of walnut in for, just for my inventory, but also to use. What's been kind of nice is that although I have jobs, it's not like Nick or Josh, well, maybe more Nick than Josh. I think Josh and I are probably at the same level of orders at this point as far as like how many are due and when they're due. I don't have to replenish my inventory or stock of wood as often as I used to, which I'm not too mad at, especially with the cost of it here.
That now that you said that, you're going to get hit with a large order, and now you're going to have to...
That's okay.
And I'm fine, but here's the thing. I like those kind of jinxes, okay? I'm good with that. But that flag that I made for that chief, he's yet to be given because his going away hasn't happened yet. So I expect when that thing is shown and is seen by a lot of people from different areas of the base, it's going to probably spawn a little more work for me, which is completely fine. I'm going to keep in mind, I still got to space them out, and I got to know when to tell them no, because unfortunately my real job does come first. and my real job is more demanding than my previous job. So, other than that, I'll talk more stuff later as far as lasers, CNCs, and anything else we decide to talk about on the podcast. But I'm going to go ahead and kick it on over to Nick and see what's going on in his shop while I run out to my garage.
Well, I built this hutch this last weekend. As you can see, it's made out of oak. No, I'm just playing. I didn't build it. I definitely did not build this hutch. However, I rescued it from my neighbors. Were going to throw it away, and I was like, no, don't throw it away. I'll take it. So it's a brand, almost looks pretty new. So I put my liquor in there. Why else would why not, right? But other than that, I took a large order from Garrison Brothers this past week after the last podcast. So now I have to make 300 Christmas ornaments for the distillery. That's going to be fun. Some other various items that they want, but the Christmas orders are well underway. I'm about done with 100 of them. I'll be delivering 100 this week. Yeah, I'll be delivering about 100 this weekend, and then the last 200 in the weeks to follow. So this way they have some inventory on hand. They can put it out. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty lucrative. I'm finishing up a couple of shadow boxes and a couple of plaques this week, and I think I can kind of breathe a little bit. Not too much, but I can breathe a little easier that I'm getting these projects out of the way. Yesterday, we went looking at new houses. Yeah, dude, you would not believe how much houses are now down here.
No, I believe it.
Oh, no, I can believe it, especially with the interest rates right now. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so you can buy points back. You can buy points out for your interest. Whether or not it's worth it or not depends on how long you stay in the house. But there's a subdivision that's getting put in about 5 miles down the road from where I'm at right now. And they have 3-car garages. They actually have houses with 3-car garages and then single garages on the other side of the house, like on the other end of the house. So you could put all your lawn equipment and all the various Christmas ornaments and storage materials in there in the 1-car garage. And then the 3-car garage, you have a shop. Boom. Right?
No. The 1 car, you put the lumber in, and then you use the 3-car for your shop.
That's true. I would put a lot of my sheet goods and stuff in there, if that was the case. But I don't think we're going to get I don't even know if we're going to get the house, but because a lot of them you have to design with the builder, and then they build it. So they have the pre-designed plans that you can go through and pick and choose what you want. So Kelly, my wife, is pretty adamant about some things, like a large kitchen with a couple islands. I'm like, a couple islands? What do you need a couple for? You get stranded on one, you're going to have to take a life raft to the other. But that stuff's not important. It's about the garage, man. It's about the shop. So the one house I did walk through, the garage was completely finished. Like, they didn't even have doors on it. It was just another big room. And I'm like, man, if I could get one garage door on there and have that completely finished, open space with the laminate flooring, and man, that would be legit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, actually, it would be. And I'm going to tell you what, to double down on your thought of it's all about the garage, I kid you not, when we were looking for houses up here, I told the wife, I don't care what the rest of the house looks like, as long as the garage is decent. I even told the realtor that. I was like, hey, absolutely. I just want a big garage. That's all I want.
2-car garage and shack.
Well, so yeah. I know everybody's like, oh, well, you're probably going to grow out of it. But you know what, though? I really have a feeling that with all the equipment I have crammed in my 2-car garage right now, it'll actually look normal with inside of a 3-car garage. And I can have actually a station for a desk down there to keep order forms and stuff like that. And just whatever. I will await the day that I see that level of organization, Nick. What are you talking about? My garage?
Having order forms in a nice little stack.
I still know his order form. It's a piece of paper, a bunch of stuff on it, cross.
No, that used to be the way, but now everything is all digital. So working it, we'll see what happens.
How's that Avid coming, bud?
It's built. It's just it needs wiring finished, and then I need to connect the air the air to the tool changer. But I have the air compressor sitting in the laundry room right now, keeping it out of the dust. But
I'm sure the
honestly,
wife loves
so
that.
check it out. Check it out. So if I did own this house eventually, right? I could vent through the wall out to the outside of the house with my laser. I could potentially run a dust collector outside. Since it's in the back of the house, you can actually like add to the back of the house with like a little wood shack and put my air compressor out there. Also
cool.
put my dust collector out there. You know, and then it's really, I've got a lot of ideas to help like keep it dust free, as well as mitigate dust, as well as keep the square footage usage more efficient. Because right now, so I'm renting. So if I wanted to vent through the wall, I could, and then the property manager would be mad because I cut a hole in the wall and the siding. You know, I could also run the air compressor through the wall to like another room, but then the rest of the house you'd hear it. So I've got the 60-gallon air compressor. I would love to mitigate that and not have to hear it when it kicks on all the time. It'd just be like a low hum through the wall, you know?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And then, so also these houses, the neighborhood is like, it's on acres. So each house is on acreage. So it's not like you're slammed right up next to somebody. You know, like the house I'm at right now, we're literally like 12 feet away from the house that's next to us. It's pretty annoying, especially for noise. Like noise pollution is a big deal. I'm probably the worst offender in the neighborhood because I don't care. Like,
I'm sure people hear that thing like down the block.
No, so I've actually heard my CNC going, and I was at the mailbox, and that's down the street and around the corner. But it's just a light whine, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But so it's not enough to like keep people up. But if you are like literally right next to me, then or right across the street from me, you can definitely hear it. So I hope they enjoy that. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all that's going on in my world. Just keeping my head above water and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, nice. I see what you did there. That's good.
All right, so I'm done with what's going on in my shop now. I'm going to pass it on over to Josh because at the moment he's not coughing, so he should be able to tell you what's going on around his shop. So
yeah,
Josh,
I'm kind of getting better. I still have a cough here and there, but you know, I'm getting good enough where I can have a conversation and I die at the end. But it's been actually a pretty busy shop time. I just haven't been posting much because my phone camera decided to, die, like completely die. Like can't download another app, just stop working. Don't know what. I brought it into the store and they were like, yeah, it's hardware. Like it's time. Send it off to greener pastures. Time to get a new phone. So I got my new phone in today. I'll be sending it up tonight. So hopefully I'll be able to start doing the Instagram thing and posting. And I have a bunch of pictures and stuff from my wife's phone. I'm going to transfer to my phone and we're going to go from there. So I have been doing projects left and right. I was selling some old stuff, old stock, trying to get that out. I marked it down 20%. Got some people interested. Which is kind of cool because, well, once that's gone, I can fill it up again and keep doing the same. And that's stuff that's already made, so I don't have to worry too much about it. Maybe add an engraving here and there, but that's about it, right? I have a plaque I'm going to be doing. They want it painted, so I'll be doing some painting again. It's been a minute, so that should be fun. Still trying to talk them into acrylic just because I think it would look better, but they're pretty set on the painting, so we'll go ahead and do that. I just finished a shadow box today. That'll be shipping to Florida. I need to be down there before the 4th. So let's hope that it gets down there in time. I will be having UPS package it for insurance reasons. I found that is the best way. I talk to the clients every time. And on my website now, I have an upcharge for shadow boxes for that fee, which is around $25, give or take. Every time I mention why I do it to the actual provider, they're all in agreement. They're willing to pay the extra $25 to ensure their product gets there on time, or not on time, but in one piece. And if it doesn't, it's on whatever delivery service. So it benefits me and it benefits the client. And I can't argue that logic. So, and for a large, Okay, yes, you can argue anything, but I mean, like, to be honest, I don't have to keep any packing material for that on hand. You know what I'm saying? That's a pretty large item. I don't have room for storing packing items anyway. Only for the small stuff like cotton boards and the little plaques and stuff like that I could do. I don't have to worry about a bunch of bubble wrap and all this other nonsense. And it just, if the client wants to pay it and they say, okay, great. If they don't, then I'll do it myself. And we'll see how that goes. Haven't really had any issues with it, only just once. But, you know, once that happens, you're always kind of paranoid about it. So talking about shipping, I did ship something down to Mass. It was one of my first sales on a website. Guy talked to me for a couple of days, ended up purchasing a little Army first shirt plaque and set that out. And he got that today. He commented back saying he loved it, which is always good to hear. I delivered the military working dog plaque, which they absolutely loved. They were blown away by. I can't wait to share that with everybody. It's amazing the stuff you learn through the years. The first one I did for them, I had to deal with the choker chain and the regular dog collar. And I did it in such a way where it looked good, but I remember how I did it, and the way I did it, this is completely different, and it looks so much better in my eyes. More professional. We'll just put it that way. I was extremely happy with how that turned out. What else have we got going on? 3D printing. So I got the 3D printer up and running, and I've been developing some stuff. Actually, Nap, and during his shop talk, had some things I've been developing that will help laser enthusiasts align their projects. And I'll leave it at that. I'm pretty close to going ahead and putting it on my page and for sale. I just have to do a couple more test trials to ensure that I have enough staying power and the magnets will not come out. And then I've been working on
what power?
Staying power, where it will hold. So not hold down, but it's basically a way to align your projects on the grate.
Pretty much you're making sure your earth magnets are extremely powerful and they don't move on a simple bump.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want them. I don't want them where they lift up, but I want it so that like you can place an item down, align it, and go. Because sometimes, especially in the coming months, we're going to be doing a lot of repetition. I'm guessing for Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. We're working actually with a company right now we're hoping a pretty large order of Christmas ornaments. I have to design 3 different designs, and then might do 100
company
each. I'm not going to release it yet. I don't have the sale.
All right, you can just tell me what company.
No,
no, we don't have to tell
my wife's working it, and I'm not going to steal that away from her. But it's something we did, the same company in the past. If you want to look through all my posts and like them, Nick, go ahead. Yeah, so we got that going on. We just have a bunch of stuff. The designing stuff, I actually found a program that's pretty easy for me to design, and I don't have a learning curve the size of Texas. So I was able to knock out a whole bunch of stuff. I have some blade storage ideas, just a whole bunch of things I'm fabricating. And once it's ready to go and it's working in my shop, I'll be releasing. Oh, I got a new blade for the table saw. It was about time. I definitely needed a new one. It's a glue line cut blade, feud. So that's a game changer.
Basically, so really quick, I was looking through your post. I found it. How are you going to make Christmas ornaments for Preparation H?
It's pretty easy. It looks like a tube, and you squeeze out in a little on a fingertip.
I figured you probably just have like a bunch of like starfishes in the middle.
Yeah, we could do that too. I mean, like there's 100 different ideas. I have at least 3 designs up by the end of the week. That was fast. I'm actually impressed. You sure it wasn't your page though?
On the whole, I feel Preparation H is probably one of the best companies you could probably produce stuff for. What?
It's a project you stand by, man. Power to you.
It's a project you can sit with. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there you go. What else here? Knocking some projects out. I got to deliver quite a few. Not having that many orders, but I'm having enough to keep me busy. And I'm able to design some stuff I've been wanting to do that I've been sitting on for quite a while. I'm just knocking out. And that's a lot of the fabrication stuff. So I'm pretty happy with how that's coming. It will surprise you how many trials you have to go through to make things work the way you need them to. I have a whole entire bucket up here full of mistakes. It was one of those things where like it was necessary because we're talking about millimeters and making sure the fit is just right. Because if you're going to sell something and fabricate something like that, you have to ensure that, it's going to work for everybody. I'm pretty proud of that process just for the fact of it's something I've been wanting to do. I want to monetize the 3D printer. It looks like I might be able to do that here soon. So
do it, bro. How many 3D printers you got now? 2?
I have one filament and one resin. The resin, I probably want to get into like the D&D market or like something
Dungeons
like that.
And Dragons?
Because like the resin printer is very fine detail. So you can get figurines and stuff like that, and it's faster than the filament. So if I dip into that, I mean, I think there's a pretty good money pool in there, but it's getting into that, and I don't do any of that, so it's even harder. I have to find someone that does, and then have them exposed to the work I do and go forth and so on. So it's basically a slow process just because figuring out as I go. So, but other than that, that ends shop talk for myself. I'm hoping to secure some more orders here soon, but nothing on the horizon quite yet. You guys got any good topic ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're batching out small items, such as Dungeons and Dragons figurines or Christmas ornaments, that's what I'm working on right now. How many do you do at a time? Or do you do smaller batches so you can start finishing until you get to a point where you can start doing larger batches while you're finishing the rest? I'm talking about maximizing your time.
Personally, when I am batching out anything, when one machine's working, I try to be doing something else. So like even if like the first batch, for whatever reason, they wanted 10, and then the next one they wanted 100, I'd be finishing up those 10, letting them dry, or tying the little piece on there to hold the ornaments up, whatever, while the machine's going. Because once that's done, I can start a new project, or I can clean the shop up a little bit, and then the 100 gets done, and I just keep going. If I'm sitting still not doing anything in the shop, I'm not making money. So,
Nap, what about you, buddy?
I'm normally typically doing smaller quantities, like kind of like you were saying, like to finish stuff as I go. One project I did in the past, I think it was around like 200, like not coasters. They were coaster size. They weren't meant to be coasters though. I did, I want to say maybe 20 at a time, because, while 20 got done on that first batch, because, you're waiting for the first batch to get done, I could throw the next 20 on, and I'm already routing, sanding, all these things. And I'm at the point of I'm putting the finish on by the time the next 20 came out. That was probably the best way to do it. I'm sure there's a better way, but I mean, it's kind of, I'm not saying difficult, but I will say in really recent past, like for example, those glasses, there's not much finish work to do other than like, sanding off, not sanding, but using that quadruple zero steel wool to like get rid of like the shards and everything. But I noticed when you start getting like a large pile of like stuff that you have to start doing the next step on, it starts to get daunting, and you're just like, this sucks. Like you're in the middle of like, you get like, let's say 100 coasters, right? And you're like, I've really got to route and sand all 100 of these.
That's why I hired my brother, dude.
Well, my brother's, one's in Texas and one is, in an undisclosed location, and I can't just have them come over. I wish I could. But no, I've been enlisting the wife to do things, but I don't think she wants to sand her life away, to be honest with you.
Oh, blame her. I don't blame her.
Does anyone?
No, actually, I commend your brother for doing the sanding and all those things, because that's like the one part I hate the most. Like even with my Merca, it's still fun to sand sometimes, but I just hate sanding, just period.
We spend a lot of money to reduce sanding. Just think about that. There's a lot of machines we have in our shop and a lot of tools that we spend a lot of money on, to make sanding better because it sucks that much.
Yes,
That's true.
absolutely.
That is true. So when I did hire my brother, I had to train him on what I wanted. And once I trained him on that, then it was just like, but it's a force multiplier, dude. I'm telling you, you get somebody in there who, I mean, obviously I paid him well for his time, but there's so much more. I fed him. He ate dinner with the family, and I paid him well, and he probably ended up getting probably close to like 3 days worth of 8-hour shifts. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Worth of work. So and I made a good profit. He made some extra money. He made more money than he would have made at his normal job. He didn't really have to do much except stand there and sand, listen to his music. So he was happy. I was happy. But so when I'm batching stuff out, though, it does occur to me that like when that first wave of things are going, I don't like to wait to finish. I like to, like, if it's just me, I'll do like 25 Christmas ornaments at a time on the laser, front, and then backside. Pull those off. I'll start finishing those. I'll put the next 25 on, hit go. I'll start finishing the first 25. And this way it's a constant cycle. I still have yet to find a number that is, I probably could have done them all at once, but like Knapp said, it gets pretty, when you're doing like hundreds, it gets pretty daunting, pretty tedious. You're like, oh man, only 250 left. All right, only 249 left. We're almost there. All right, so no, but like quality control too. That's another thing. It's like, so I've noticed a couple of voids in the Baltic birch I was using. So I then have to tag on an extra. For every one that I throw out, I got to put another one on the laser. But I try to. There's no way of telling whether you're going to get a dirty or a bad void inside of the plywood until after it's etched. So it is a waste of time. That is like a time waster. Have you ever noticed that, Josh? You get like, you're like carving something, or not carving, but etching something, and you're like, man, there's a nasty void in that plywood. Now I gotta stop the job, or you just let it go, right? Because it's gonna do them all, and then just depending on how you're doing it, and you're like, oh man, I gotta throw this one out and do it again. It's just an extra time waste.
Well, yeah, it's like anything. Like anything with lasering or the CNC, when something messes up, you can stop right now. You might be able to fix it later. Or like if you're doing multiple cutouts or whatever, you're probably gonna have to toss it and just redo it. That's the one thing I wish the laser had a little bit better, was like a way for it, like the CNC. When I put something down, I guess it does have that in Lightburn. If you do mess with the settings enough, you could return to the same position and whatnot. But like,
I like the homing switch. Like you set your origin and then you hit reset. It'll automatically go to that last node.
And that's Lightburn is pretty ingenious. There's a lot of settings in there if you look for them. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where you don't really look until you need. And a lot of the
about the Ruida controller.
Oh yeah, in general, yes. The homing is, you can reset the whole entire laser, turn it off, turn it back on. It'll go back right where you're working.
Hey, so sorry, I caught the tail end of that. So I learned something about that.
All right.
About going back to your starting position other than hitting reset or starting the whole laser over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you hit the origin button on your laser, it sets your origin, correct?
Yeah.
There's this awesome button on Lightburn. It's go to origin. It goes right back, right where you started. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, legit, I've done it, and I was like, how have I been doing this long? And it didn't even occur to me to hit that button. Literally, don't have to restart it, nothing.
Why would you need the button, though, if you have an origin button? I mean, like, I get it. If, say, the origin on your Ruida controller isn't working or something like that, or say you're closer to the computer.
That sets your origin. When you hit origin on your Ruida...
No, you hit reset on your Ruida, and it goes to your origin.
Yeah, but it goes all the way to homing first, and then goes back.
That's true.
If you just hit go to origin on Lightburn, it just, like, let's say you're moving it out of the way, and you just want to set the next piece, but you don't want to hit reset, you could literally just hit the Lightburn, go to origin, and it literally goes right back to where it started instead of redoing an entire homing sequence.
I use that a lot with my diode, those settings, because I would, repeat orders or whatnot, and I would have my own spoil board, if you will, and I could, place things in and it was repeatable. That's what I was missing a lot with the bigger lasers. Hopefully that'll be a thing of the past here soon.
I noticed that I did a couple of things this weekend. I forgot to mention during the shop, but regarding the laser, I aligned the mirrors and I got it. It is perfect.
As far as the eye can see, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness, man. It is absolutely dead center of each piece of tape all the way from front, back, side to side. And I found a happy medium. I did realize that the bed dips, though. The bed has a dip in it. It's really weird. And I started noticing, because I would have, plywood on the honeycomb, and there might be something I haven't investigated underneath the honeycomb yet, but there might be something lifting part of it up. Or no, there wouldn't be. I don't know why it does that.
Slats. Do you have enough slats in there? So
I have all the slats. I love slats. Yeah, I've got all the slats, but it's not parallel in the front, the bottom closest corner. It's not parallel to the rest of to the gantry like the rest of the.
You know how you fix that actually? So I've had that happen.
How you do that?
Okay, so what you're going to end up doing is you're going to actually turn your laser off, okay? So there's no power to that particular spot. You're going to hand crank that corner up on that. You're going to have to grab the bearing, because I've done this on mine. You're actually going to have to hand crank that side up until it's level.
Okay.
I realized this. Okay, so I accidentally, in the middle of me when I first got here in Minot, and I was unpacking my laser, I put too much weight on the actual Z, and I actually pushed part of my bed down by accident. And I actually had to hand rotate that thing up. And it's going to be difficult, okay, but it's totally doable. There might be an easier way to hand rotate. There might be maybe like an Apex or a Allen key or something that you can use to crank that side up. But that's how you fix that. And that could have honestly, Nick, but always been there, and you just never noticed till now. Yeah. Maybe from when shipping, because when they ship and they have all the stuff inside the laser when they ship it, and that's just something that will happen.
I got a new shroud for the laser today. It showed up.
Heck nice.
Yeah, so my laser shroud was cracked, and the acrylic on it was cracked, and it messed up pretty much the entire shroud. Just got a hold of OMTech and let them know my laser's still under warranty, so they sourced one. It took a little while because I had to go to the Orient or China, whatever you want to call it, and they had it sent to me, and I was like, fantastic. It was freighted to me. I showed up. It was sitting in a pallet on my driveway. I'm like, what's this? And then I look, and it's a big old sheet of acrylic that's bent the way it's supposed to be, and it's even got the frame in it. So,
nice.
Yeah, so I don't have to remove just the old acrylic. I'll take the screws out of the hinges and the screws off of the what do you call them, the pistons that hold it up.
Yeah,
and just put the new one on and do that. Yeah, it'll be good to go. Look like a brand new machine. Yeah. I heard. Did you see that Matt Voltner's laser took a dump on him?
It did, and it may or may not have been because something may have contacted said screen. I will say that
don't call him out. Don't call him out.
No,
he can call himself out.
Listen, no, it happens. He already said it on his Instagram.
Okay.
Listen, this stuff happens, folks, in your shop when you're moving stuff around and just things hit, fall, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna tell you what, it is the most unfortunate thing when stuff like that happens. Hopefully, his laser fix is a swift one. If not, Matt, you can always get in touch with us. We can always get you an OMTech. It's always a thing.
Yeah, we'll hook you up with our promo code and all that stuff, Matt. I'm just saying. Oh, I also got a Voltner Woodworking hat yesterday.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I know everybody's like, why don't you have any of your own stuff? Well, that's not how I operate. I wear everybody else's stuff.
Yeah, it's you already know who I am. Now you know what everyone else is.
People are like, oh, you own a woodworking company? I'm like, yeah. They're like, is that your logo? I'm like, nope. No, that's my buddy's. The same thing. So I have AJ's flag hanging at work, and everybody knows I'm a woodworker. And they're like, "Oh, sweet, you're a woodworker. Oh, wow, did you make that flag?" I'm like, "Nope."
Well, I was like, why do you have it? Like, don't you worry about that.
I had a buddy make it for me because I thought it was cool. So,
that's the best thing about this community. Everyone has their little niche. And
hell, I got Josh's hammer, which, by the way, Josh, I did use the hell out of the hammer the other day. She survived.
Talking about hammers, I actually broke one of my mini mallets. One of the first ones I made.
What did you do?
Oh, it's just out of use. I mean, like, believe me, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did.
Handle up.
There you go. Long story short, I glued up a new mallet. I just need to put the handle in. But I'm telling you, I'm feeding right into you, and it's great. But having a normal size mallet and then a smaller size mallet is just great to have in the shop. I have actually, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and soon be 5 mallets.
I find if the mallet's across the room and you're in a pinch, a piece of scrap wood will do the job.
So will your phone.
Well, yeah, that's true. Your phone will do the job, but I wouldn't expect your phone to work after that. So,
but I did beat the hell out of something, Josh, with the mallet you made me, and yeah, it was good.
Did it feel good in your hands?
I'm not going to tell you what I beat the hell out of with it, but I did beat something.
Wasn't anything living, right?
No.
Just
no, actually, so believe it or not, so I didn't want to use like any of the metal hammers I had, but I was in the middle of doing like my dust collection stuff, and the head of the mallet that you gave me was large enough to where I was able to smack the hell out of a 4-inch piece of PVC, and PVC is a little more resilient than wood. And I'm going to tell you what, not a single like dent or anything. That thing it absorbed and ate all of the, we'll just say all of the, impact that I put behind it.
I think I say blows.
Nope.
And I was going to see the mustache perk up.
Oh my gosh, you guys need to get your heads out of the gutters. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, Nick, your freaking head is in the biggest gutter possible.
I mean, look at his title. Free mustache rides. I mean, like, it says it all.
Who wants one? I do.
Anyway. So I got a question for you guys. I was in the shop, and when I first started woodworking, one of the biggest things I was nervous around, tool-wise, was the router. For some reason, the fact of a bit spinning at ridiculous amount of speeds, and cutting through stuff, and my fingers kind of close next to that made me nervous. Tipping, whatever, small ridges, rabbits, you name it. And it was just kind of funny because, nowadays I throw a bit in there and I use it like it's, I have my glasses and everything on, but it's not a big deal anymore. And I wanted to come on here tonight to ask you guys, when you first started, what was that tool that you were just like, about? Like, just, you always thought twice before using it.
I wouldn't say so much tool. It was so the router table is the one thing, right? But I wouldn't even say the tool because I was never really afraid of routers per se. I was afraid of the bits that I was using.
Okay, that's a more accurate statement. Yeah.
Because, I could use a chamfer bit, right? And I'd be fine. It's not a big deal as long as I don't go taking like a whole 1/4 inch off at a time, which you can do that. I just don't suggest it. I would just take the extra time to do maybe 2 shallower passes so you don't end up catching a chunk of the wood like I did and throw that sunbee. I've ruined pieces that way. But one of the bits that I used a while back that I haven't used ever since, it was really just for that one job, but I now know I have the capability, is those, the architectural bits?
Yes.
They're the ones that, because they're full face, and you actually have to use the fence with those. Because if you don't, we'll just say bad things can happen, especially with like Purple Heart. I would say using the router table with harder woods, with was it the Janka scale? Is that what it is? Hardness, right?
Janky scale.
Janky scale, yeah. So
I don't know.
Maybe I think it's Janka.
This is not Scooby Doo, man.
It's the
Jinkies.
No, it's actually the Jankum scale.
Jankum scale. There you go.
Tells you how hard the wood is.
Yeah, so hard. But like Jatoba and Purple Heart, those are like the 2 of the higher level ones, and I always hated using my router table with those. But if I were to say just tool, not so much accessory, it was a table saw. Part of the reason why I got my saw stop, to be honest with you. because I did try to like cut my finger off with my DeWalt job site saw. Because even with a riving knife, some wood, when you're cutting it, it still likes to pinch a lot on the blade, even with that riving knife, because sometimes the riving knife just doesn't do the trick. And I've had like some kickback. I've had pieces almost go through my garage door. That was like the one tool that I'm always just skeptical of using. Even the table, even my saw stop at times, just because like I don't check the nut after I tighten it. When I initially put the blade in. I don't think I've ever checked it since I put that blade in there. Maybe should check it, maybe just to make sure it's still good. I mean, obviously it's still good, it's still working, but it still scares the hell out of me, especially when like you go to start the saw stop up and it just says nope. Like it kind of does a quick like burnt sound and then it just stops. Something's contacting the blade. I'm like, what's contacting the blade? Like, what is going on? And I go turn it off. I start sticking my hands in there and I go start it back up. And it does like the whole whining noise as it comes back up. And you're like, man, this thing is it's just scary. Like table saws are scary in general. Like one false move and you're losing fingers if you don't have something like a saw stop or whatever,
It's funny. My son did something in the shop. I literally, like, to be fair, the CNC was going. He was using the vacuum, had headphones on, and like there was a lot of things in this error chain. But he looks at me and he's about to do something. I'm like, do not do that. And then he does it anyway. And I explained to him for like, he's still young, he's still learning, but I try to impart upon him everything in our shop could take a finger or more. If you think about it, like everything we have can like mortally wound you or at least take an appendage or your hand or something or grind it, whatever. Like it's amazing the stuff we deal with, and we do it. Like we can go out there for 12 plus hours all day making a project. You know what I'm saying? It'd be 2:00 at night and we're doing this and we're working with these machines and we do it safely enough. I mean, we still have our fingers stuck at wood, but I mean, like we do this and it doesn't phase you. Like it's not that you're being complacent. It's just like, it could hurt you. You're careful, but like, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to go, shove a piece through the table saw, bandsaw, all this stuff. If you take it back and you kind of look at it from like my son's point of view, telling him that like everything in the shop could take a finger was just kind of like, I sat back. I'm like, you know what? That's absolutely true. Even a damn chisel. I mean, like it's amazing.
Don't even get me started with chisels. I've done such dumb things with chisels. Like,
I don't know what you mean.
You put your hands in the wrong place when you're using a chisel, and that sumbee slips, and it's sharp.
Woo!
Let me tell you what I found is extremely sharp. It's a fabric slicer. It's like a little pizza roll, and it's like, I got me today, and it hurt so bad I threw the damn thing. I kind of like tossed it, and I'm like, ooh.
Stuck in the wall.
Well, I super glued it, and I kept moving on, but the thing was sharp.
Before Nick gives his, I said that I was thinking about it when you said bandsaw. That is the tool I actually fear the most right now in my shop. That no matter how I use it, I fear a bandsaw. I do.
Really?
Because I've yet to have my bandsaw work the correct way, and there's no safety to that damn thing. You slip once feeding anything, you're taking something off for sure.
Well, why don't you use a push stick?
What the hell are you doing?
I do. Okay, first of all,
this is not a push stick.
Weird looks. No. Okay, so you guys give me weird looks because you guys use bandsaws more than I do. You both have used bigger bandsaws more than I have. My experience with a bandsaw is 2 resaws, and that's about it. So while I use a push block, a push stick, or any of those things, it doesn't freaking matter. You slip once in that thing and you're hosed.
Well, how big are your stripes thickness-wise for your shadow blocks?
I pushed that bitch through a table saw, first of all.
You resaw on the table saw?
If it's small enough, yeah.
That scared me. No wonder.
No, I mean, my bandsaw is also the most expensive paperweight I have in the garage right now because it's still not fixed. So
you gotta be using that more. You're losing a lot of material if you're using the. I use my bandsaw to cut out stuff. I use it for resawing. I use it because I just like having it on.
You guys are lecturing me on material usage, but I'm not cutting, full ass boards either. I'm doing small stuff. Like I'm not taking full 4-foot pieces and throwing it through the table saw.
Well, me either. I usually only do about 18 inches. I'm serious. So my shadow boxes are roughly 18 inches wide. So I'll take a piece of 18-inch walnut and I'll resaw that bitch twice. And then now I have, I'll send it through the planer, smooth it out. And then now I have enough material.
Yeah, but how thick are your boards when you're first starting?
4/4.
Yeah, really? So the walls in your shadow boxes are that shallow?
What are you talking about? The walnut is the ornamentation on top.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the sides. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, me too. I was totally confused there. I'm like, how the hell did you manage that?
I'm talking about for like stripes and any ornamentation on top.
I agree. For the stripes, I do the same. I take the walnut and I resaw it, and that's where I get my stripes, and it looks better. And it just, I don't know, so much easier.
Y'all need to be working with some acrylic more, by the way.
No.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling that mirrored acrylic, it replicates a lot of different things.
Oh, I'm sure it does. But again, that's your niche. I'm more of just wood on wood. And I'm just now dabbling in the acrylic stuff.
Bro, I'm telling you, get yourself a piece of mirrored acrylic, cut yourself out a pocket rocket, take that thing, slap it on a piece of wood that's clear coated or whatever, like clear coated walnut, which looks really pretty because you can see all the grain. Slap it on there, bring it into work, and just set it on your desk and see who says something, because it will look exactly like the one you guys.
And listen, I'm not telling you it's bad. I'm just not there yet.
I got a rocket in my pocket.
Yeah, I haven't had a job that required it, or I've offered different things to people, and some people don't want it. It's weird. Different clients know what they want. Like this last one, they want it painted because I did a painted one in the past. They saw that and they really like it, and I'm like, "Hey, I could do this now," and they're like, "No, no."
Are you sure? Because I really hate painting.
Yeah, pretty much how that goes. In fact, I had to order some more masking material because I haven't masked a project in so long because I haven't had a need for it. But it is what it is.
What are we talking about again?
We're just talking about tools that scare and when you first started.
All right, tools that we're afraid of. I know I have a tool that I'm afraid of, or that I was afraid of when I first started.
You use it fine now, right?
No, okay. So the joiner, I'm still always super, super careful around the joiner, because when you're putting I always got to be cognizant of where my fingers are when I'm pushing something, like my forward hand is when I'm pushing something down through to edge joint. And even, on dado stacks too. Dado stacks are always
those.
Dado stacks.
I'm like, bro, if I hit this dado stack, even though that I have a saw stop, it's still for one, the dado stack's expensive. For two, if I trip that blade break, I ruin I'm out $350. You know what I mean? And potentially the arbor on the saw, because that's a lot of freaking carbide that's spinning.
Does anyone, when they turn their dado stack on, stand to the side? I know I do. I turn it on.
I turn that thing on and I wait. I wait for 30 seconds.
I wait till it gets spun up. And then I'm like, okay, it looks like nothing's going to go flying. I'm going to go ahead and use it.
Oh, another thing. So I'm not necessarily afraid of hitting myself with a palm router, but those bearings at the bottoms of the ones that ride along the side of So I always just double check that thing is snug, because it is not fun thinking about the whole time. Okay, if this bearing falls off, guess what?
Who had an issue with that, where the bearing came off? That's the guy.
Well, okay. To be fair, so the first one wasn't because the bearing came off. It's because I didn't set the bearing low enough to ride against the material. But the one I did have, the bearing actually, so it was a smaller router bit. The bearing, where it's welded together or whatever to keep it together in a little ring, it actually came undone. The bearing split, and then I just watched it dig, and I was like, "What happened?" No, I was at the end.
Yeah, so people always ask me though, when I'm doing chamfers and my flags and stuff like that, they're like, "Do you use a V-bit to get that groove?" No way. And I'll tell you why. it's faster to do it before you glue up the pieces than just to do run a V-bit pass, I believe. All right. And 2 is once you glue up all the pieces, and if you say you didn't chamfer them, your clamps might pull something out of wonk. It might not be evident to the naked eye that your flag's not completely, like, all the stripes aren't completely parallel. But like when you clamp it up and down the line, it might be like some of the boards might be bowed a little bit. You know what I mean? Some of the planks might be, I don't know. It never works out for me. It never works out for me. And the V-bit passes that I've tried it one time and it ended up looking like booty. So I was like, nope, never again. Not doing it.
Well, it's because when you're doing it on a router table, even if there's a slight bow in the stripe or anything really that you're doing, it's going to be consistent because you're the other way when you're riding it against that bearing. But then when you're doing the V-bit thing, we know as well as anybody on a CNC, if the piece isn't completely flat, you're always going to get that different depth of cut depending on.
That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about it looks like say you're doing a American flag glue up, and you glue all the stripes together, end, right? Mm-hmm. When you're done, there is, in my case, there is always some variation where the stripes aren't always completely parallel to each other for some reason. It's like you could measure one side of the flag and they should match each other perfectly, right? And they usually do, but I don't know whether it's like if you're pulling with the clamps and it's actually bending the pieces or whatnot, or if it's
that's possible.
So I've always had it to where I would always line up I would always make sure I squared up my CNC and everything like that before I tried it, because I thought that's how it was done. I mean, I guess you could do it if you have a material that's not flexible like wood and doesn't expand and contract like that. But I mean, like MDF maybe, I don't know.
I'm sure Ben could learn you up because he's a man of roundovers and I'm waiting for it to pop up. He's a man of roundovers and chamfers on his CNC. He's probably the man to talk to, probably for the process on that. But
that and measuring too. If you're off like a C hair on the measurement where the seam is in between, you could always make it look stupid.
But hey, man, I think that's pretty good for tonight. If you guys want to start wrapping up, we want to start with our sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you like this episode of the Sawdust Nation podcast, thank our sponsors by using these promo codes on their websites. So check out PWN CNC. This episode has been brought to you by Daniel over there, and he's the president, CEO, and HMFIC of PWN CNC. PWNCNC.com has some of the best aftermarket CNC accessories. So check them out and use our promo code Sawdust Nation 981 to get 10% off your entire order. I would also like to thank Total Boat for your continued support. You guys are rocking it with all of that Halcyon and the epoxies. So if you want a 10% off promo code from Total Boat, slide into the Sawdust Nation podcast DMs. I'd also like to thank our affiliates, OMTech. You guys are awesome. Thanks for helping support the podcast, as well as Makerstock.com. So if you want 10% off your initial order at Makerstock.com, use promo code Sawdust10. And Nap.
Hey, it's me. Sorry, I got a package. My son put it in the office. Anyways, so if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever other podcast catchers, Pandora, any of those things, go let's give us 5 stars. And if you don't, let us know why, because we can't give what you want, what you really, really want. But if you do leave us 5 stars, go ahead and still leave us feedback. Maybe give us some topic ideas. Get a hold of us. How do you get a hold of us, Josh?
Well, if you are on Instagram, it's very easy. We have 4 different ways you can get a hold of us. You can go ahead and reach us at Sawdust Nation Podcast on Instagram. Shoot us a message. You don't ever know who's going to answer, but that's half the fun. And if you want to message us individually, you can go ahead and do that by getting a hold of Nick from NPG Creations, Nap from Nap's Naughty Works LLC, or Josh from North Country Woodworking. We'll be happy to answer your questions, talk shop, give us topic ideas on there. Go ahead. But you know what? If you're not a social media fan, that's okay. I'm sure you have an email, and you can get a hold of us at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com and do the same. You can send us a message. We'll write back. You can send us voice clips for the show itself, talk shop, what have you. we'd love to hear from you. But the ultimate way to be part of this podcast and interact is become a Patreon. Our Patreons on the third tier get to interact with us every live show. They get 2 entries in every giveaway and a bunch of different other great benefits. We love having them on the show. It's a lot. If you hear us laughing randomly, it's probably because of our Patreons. And some of the topic ideas that we talk about are generated from what they're saying. So if you love the show, all you have to do is become a Patreon. And with that, let's go with final words, starting with Nap.
Yeah, folks. So, as always, I'll start like how Nick does. As always, keep taking care of each other. But on a real note, Instagram is always open. I've been getting hit up quite a bit lately, just asking for laser help and all these things. And I never skip a beat. Hell, I'm even doing this when I'm at work, when I got a spare moment, just helping people out. Just keep doing that, because the only way this community gets stronger is if we keep helping each other out. And hey, you never know when you might need help with something, and sometimes those people might have the answers. And you just don't want to be, don't be a dick and just be like, nah, you're going to have to, pay me for that, or whatever the case may be. And just for the PG version, don't be mean and and not help those people out and, try to charge them money for it or anything like that. But yeah, just keep helping each other, folks, and keep making the community stronger. I'm going to pass on over to Nick.
All right, folks, like always, take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, if you eat those cherry stems, they come out the other end tied. You not.
I had a joke too, but I was going to tell it at the very end, because Patreon stuff,
Oh, hey, did you guys hear that they're not making yardsticks any longer?
No. You're stupid.
Those are dad jokes if I've ever heard them. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us for the 122nd episode. We love getting on here, talking shop, and just having a good time. You can listen to us on the way to work. You can listen to us making a cup of coffee. You can listen to us basically in the shop, working out. We don't care where you listen to us. We just want to whisper in your ear. And with that, go make some sawdust. Have a good time. Keep your digits. And Sawdust Nation out.
Guys, guess what? What has 128 teeth and holds back a monster?
My zipper.
Yes, my zipper.
Yeah. So did you guys know that? So I had a friend who drowned. So for his funeral, we put a life preserver on his coffin. It's what he would have wanted.